My name is Lisanne Peters, and I'm a third-year occupational therapy student, and I've been with Sensory Enhanced Aquatics for about 2.5 years now. I always wear my goggles to model how to wear goggles on your head and how to put them on your eyes. So I am showing her how to put the goggles on and then helping her put her own on. When blowing bubbles, I model blowing bubbles for them. So you can blow into your hand or blow onto them and then blow into the water at the same time that they're doing it. I also use my fingers a lot to count when I'm doing things. So when we're blowing bubbles, I will blow bubbles with the child and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all done, so that they know how long we're going to be doing it and then they know when we're finished. During a backfloat, I will have the child rest their head on my shoulder, and sometimes you even have to cue them to put their head all the way back. I usually prompt them to look at the ceiling while they're doing that, and even using, sometimes they don't know what the word relax means, but if you can tell them to get loose and just be calm, that can help them not be stiff in the water. I also will use verbal and my fingers to count, like I said, with blowing bubbles. So counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and also using my fingers so that they can see them and they know when we're done. When having the kids reach for rings in the pool underwater, I usually start on the stairs and put the rings at a shallower pace. That way they maybe can just reach for the ring and get their chin wet, and then maybe move down a step, and then maybe they're getting their nose wet, and then we can eventually move down to where it's deeper, and then they can completely submerge their head under the rings. Another thing with the rings is I usually pick ones that are brightly colored, so reds, blues, oranges, things that are easier to see under the water. As you can see here in this part of the video, she is putting the barbell up underneath of her arms and even trying to like hold it up against her like this, and I am pushing it out. Pushing out her arms and the barbell, and also pushing out her legs to get her used to being extended while she was swimming. Another thing I'm looking at while she's swimming with the barbell like this is how she's kicking her feet. We really want the kids to be kicking from their hips and not from their knees. Kicking from your hips is a lot more smoother than doing like this with your knees. So that's another thing that I'm looking for whenever we're kicking with the barbell. Having the kids jump in the pool is another good skill. It can be very scary for them, but working on jumping into the water without holding on to anything and being able to support yourself in the water is a good skill for them to learn also.
My name is Christine Panis. My son is Charlie. My daughter is Riley. Charlie is 10. Riley is 6. Charlie is an amazing focuser. He has the ability to focus and hone in on his interest to the exclusion of the entire planet. And that is both wonderful and terrifying. Riley, on the other hand, is incredibly independent. Like, she came out at 25 weeks gestation because she really didn't need my help to turn into a human. We had our first fight about driving when she was 2 because she wanted to drive home in a snowstorm. She is super independent. Charlie is one of those kids that was reading at 2, memorized pi to 16 digits at 3. One of those kids that just absolutely delves into whatever he is interested in. And he lives in that world exclusively. It's fantastic if you can love anything as much as he loves the things he loves, you are lucky in life. Charlie doesn't really have, when he was 2, we put him in that early swim lessons thing that they do 18 months, 2 years old, and they're like, just dip him under the water and he'll hold his breath because it's a reflex, it's an instinct. All kids do it. He does not. He doesn't have that at all. Like, he will just keep breathing and it hurts a lot. So it's terrifying if he gets near a body of water and he's uncoordinated and unable to organize himself correctly to move. So water is terrifying with him. And then Riley is the opposite end of that. When she was 2, she went down the big kids water slide by herself repeatedly because she has no fear. I want my kids able to survive water. I want them to be safe. And I want them to get back out if they get in. That's really the end of my goals. If they can have a fantastic relationship with water and swim and use it as a form of exercise, that's great, but my first level is survival. I mean, the typical swim lessons, they expect the kids to be able to understand basically what's going on, follow along with the group. The instructors expect certain things. They expect that the kids have the standard reflexes to hold their breath and are able to build, a static bubble to keep the water from washing into their heads. They expect that they aren't going to impulsively go bolting off and jump into the water because it's there. And that's not reality for my world. Look, I was looking for somebody who had the capacity to understand the special circumstances that my kids are in.